All right, thank you for joining. Today we'll go over Chainlink USDT on the Binance chart. So right now, as you can see, what I do have pulled up is we had a very big accumulation zone, which happened and lasted over a year. Now, I named it monthly on here because if you do go to the monthly time frame and we zoom in here, you can see on the monthly candle, we had a decent sized buying pressure to break out of this accumulation zone, right? Now, since this accumulation zone did exist, as you can see here, one thing to keep in mind is that that should get back tested in the future as a support zone, right? Because there was a lot of buy orders that came in to push price out of this accumulation zone. And if I am correct here, I believe this lasted pretty much a little bit over a week here, right? Not a week, I'm sorry, about a year, right? So a year and a half for the most part of just straight accumulation before price broke out. Now, as you can see, price did back test that area as support before moving higher, right? Which is very good to see when you're looking to take long to aim for the range highs. Now, as we can see here, if we just want to go ahead and see what's happening next, is after this impulse, we took the liquidity of this high right here. All right, price came back up, pretty much back tested that area. And if I zoom into the daily, you'll see exactly which area was actually back tested, right? So there was a daily breaker candle, which happened right here. All right, let me go ahead and put this on here. So right here is where the breaker candle came into play, as you can see here. So support, failed auction of these highs, right? So if I was to bring this line down here, you can see price broke above this current high, right? This previous high, tried to trade above to push higher, failed. So that is a failed auction. With that failed auction, a lot of selling pressure came in. Some will call it a breaker candle to the downside, leaving this zone right here as resistance. As you can see, price came back up, tested the zone, and just continue selling off. And then if we fast forward to the future here, you'll see what happened one more time, right? So some traders may have noticed this. And let's just say they placed a horizontal line right here. They set an alert and watched for price to come up, sweep the liquidity of those highs into this demand zone, right? Daily demand zone. And what did we get after that? We got a nice rejection and price is still currently selling off to the downside. If we go to the weekly time frame, you'll see we are one time framing to the downside. So every single previous week's high for the past 2.5 weeks has been defended, right? So will that happen this week too as well? We'll see 1 week from today for the most part, right? When Sunday comes around. So what I can see here is this is not an area to look for a long position, right? In my opinion, you should be pretty much just staying out of the market, right? Now, the next area I could say considers to be a long would be this local support resistance zone right here, as you can see, right? So there is resistance. You could probably even move this up a little bit more or even go down to the daily time frame to get a clearer picture. But yeah, we'll leave this right here. So as you can see, all right, resistance, flip to support, flip back to resistance, we broke out again. So what do I think is going to happen? Probably some sort of price movement similar to what's going on in this general area, right? So probably similar to this general area. We're going to get that same similar price movement. Well, at least that's what I expect, right? Because this is currently support. So it's not something to completely overlook. So keep that in mind. With that being said, there's going to be liquidity below these lows, right? So let's go ahead and put a line there, and that's at $20.84. So there will be liquidity below those lows. Let me go to my SFP right there. And that's really the area I'll be keeping an eye on it and looking for a long trade. I'll go ahead and put an alert on that zone too as well. And then we could also see if there's any other confluences, right? So if we go here, may pull the range. It's above the nav zone. Let's go here. It might be lining up with the golden pocket, just below the golden pocket. So pretty solid support zone here. Maybe we get something like that. But yeah, that would be an interesting area to look for a long locally with, stops below wherever the wick happens to be. Now, if we lose this support zone, then we're looking for a back test of this area to enter short, aiming for these lows down here, right? Because there's going to be liquidity below these lows, liquidity below these lows, mainly, right? Those will be the targets. So right now, Link is looking pretty weak on the overall higher time frame levels, but in my opinion, there's a couple areas to look at to go long. That's the $20 area, and if that fails, I'm not looking to long Link until we take out these lows right around here, which is about $10, right? And obviously you'll be aiming for the highs, which would be this high here, right? Most relevant recent high. Put the R on there for range, right? And then if we get over that, then the next area would be the all-time high, right up here. Yes, I have a lot of little tabs saved, but yeah, so if we get that down to a $20 range price, we're looking at about 50% increase in price to the upside to the first target, and about 155% increase in price for the next target at about $53. So keep an eye out for the $20 range, set some alerts. And if price fails and we're now we start to trade around the $17 range, one thing to keep in mind, there is technically, it's hard to see here, but there is also local support resistance at around $15 too as well. Also psychological number, right? So yeah, maybe we could get a bounce around here, right? It's not impossible. As you can see, price did react at this zone too as well. It would be a better area to long in terms of just more of a solid support, in my opinion. So if $20 fails, I'm looking at $15. If $15 fails, what do you know? We're looking at $10, right? So it seems like Link likes to react every $5 for the most part. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Very short video. Ton of support for Link at $10, which is the best, strongest support. Closest support for us would be $20, and if that fails, you're looking at $15 to enter a long. Short trades for me would only happen if price was to move higher back to the $30 range, fail that level, right? Looking for a short entry here. It's a terrible arrow, but looking for a short entry there, then targeting that $20 low once again. But as of right now, Link is looking weak locally. We'll see how everything plays out here for Link in the upcoming future. Remember to like and subscribe. Follow me on X too as well. I'll try to make these updates a lot more frequent. But yeah, just keep it simple when it comes to taking trades, right? See where price stopped and was rejected from. See where price was held as support. Mark those levels. When you start to zoom in, you can see there was a pivot high here. So clearly that means that's also a resistance level, right? The resistance then gets flipped into support. It's not that complicated. It's just being patient is the name of the game. And yeah, it just happens all the time, right? If I move it down here, support, resistance, flip to support, you long there. Some people only trade off of support and resistance levels strictly, right? They just see, okay, price was rejected here. Let's create a little line, or you can do a box, right? You'll see what happens when price comes back up. You see it failing, you take the short. Don't get shaken out. Price moves a little bit lower. Make sure to take some profits. And then where did profit come into play, right? Look at this little high right here, this pivot high. Same thing, right? Take your little box tool, pull it across, and then you'll see price reacted there before moving higher. So it's really about these pivot points, especially for Link. It seems to respect these levels well, right? And that's something to keep in mind because every project trades a little bit different. The trading rules are still the same across the board, but keep in mind support, resistance, supply, demand zones, they don't really change for most projects, right? I can just pick any random project here. Let's just go to Solana. Everybody loves Solana, right? Go ahead and hide all of this for now. Right? Same thing with Solana. Let's just go to the weekly, right? I mean daily. See, right? Pivot here, pivot here. Let's just say you pull the box here, pulled it there, pull it all the way across. You'll see this one's a little less clean, but it still does work, right? So price stalled before reaching there, broke through, came down, chopped around this area for a bit before impulsing higher, chopped around a bit before impulsing higher. And what I like to do sometimes is then move the box to the lowest wick of the move, so you know, which was pretty much right here. And then same thing, as you can see, right? Lost it, resistance, resistance, came up, resistance, resistance, came back to it, flipped as that support, lost it, and now it's just like dancing around it, right? But if we're gonna fast forward a little bit closer, price action, where's the next support, right? Pretty much down here. That's where the strongest support came into play. So you put a box there. If you want to, you pull it left and you'll see where price does react, right? Support, resistance, resistance, support, resistance, resistance, support, resistance, support, support. So remember not to overcomplicate things. Same thing here. You see price reacting here. You pull it over, you'll see exactly what's been going on. Just like that. So you'll know that's a very important level for Solana to try to get over, right? Which is currently failing, which means you really shouldn't be looking for a long trade even on Solana until around $150, $160, right? Just to be frank, you know? So yeah, like and subscribe. Thank you for joining. Once again, Chainlink, your important levels to watch: $20, $15, and $10, right? If we start trading above $30, I'd be looking to then target 38, and then after that, $52, keeping it very simple here. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. Take care.